Hello team and welcome to another ATP geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pierce. This is a Ukraine war breaking news. The flames will be burning as we speak, the smoke billowing, as Ukraine has possibly had one of its most successful parts of this war. I'd say mornings of this war. They have just received the biggest number of drones flying through their airspace last night. Something like 472 drones, of which 385 were taken down. So that was 87 drones got through. So it's been a pretty, no doubt, horrendous night for the Ukrainians in Ukraine. But they have hit back in an insanely effective way with what appears to be drone strikes on two air bases simultaneously, strategic bomber air bases. And that footage is being fed back live. This is something we haven't seen before. So when I say, you know, history is being made, either the Ukrainians are being very clever, and I think it's probably the latter, or they're being clever in a different way, and they have a way of getting feeds back from smaller drones flying around air bases, maybe 2,000 kilometers away, right? But I think actually they've been a little bit clever. But this is all breaking, and so if I sound confused and this is chaotic, sorry about that. I'm genuinely also pretty excited about this. Some of the footage is outrageous, and we're going to show it. I'm going to show it to you now. So first of all, we were hearing initially, like an hour or so ago, just as I was recording my hits and losses video, you will see me react to, oh, Olenya airbase has been hit. And then there was footage coming out, and some of it looked like there was more smoke than in other footage. And in my head, I didn't say this, in my head, I was like, I'm not sure that's the same place. And actually, I don't think it was. So I think there was footage coming simultaneously from two places, one in Irkutsk and one in Murmansk. Murmansk is up here near Finland. That's the Olenya air base. That is a very significant base for hitting or for sending up strategic bombers to shower all hell on Ukraine with cruise missiles and whatnot. So we started seeing smoke rising near the airbase of Olenya, with lots of people reporting this there again from a distance. And then there was this image, and I wasn't sure that that was the same place because that cloud looked somewhat different to what was going on here. And this is one I think might not be at Olenya, although most people was claiming it was. I think that's Irkutsk and the Belaya air base. Okay, so back to Olenya. I'm just going to go through the chronology of my feeds here. So again, an hour ago, more footage from the site reportedly near the Olenya air base. It's claimed that 10 explosions were heard prior to fire breaking out. That doesn't look like planes are on fire, right? That looks like facilities were hit at the airbase, and a lot of smoke rising there from Olenya. Incoming reports of fire at Belaya airbase then just less than an hour ago. In Russia's Irkutsk region, the base also hosts strategic bombers used in missile strikes. Okay, this isn't like the phenomenal footage. Phenomenal footage is to come, believe you me. And here it is. So, okay, before we get there, let's go to Special Kherson Cat. Okay, right now, the SBU is striking the Russian military airfield Belaya in the Irkutsk region by controlling drones in real time, receiving a video signal from the drones. This video is from the Irkutsk region. The Belaya airbase, located approximately 85 kilometers northwest of Irkutsk in Russia's Irkutsk Oblast, serves as a strategic site for long-range bomb operations, situated about 4,000 kilometers from Ukraine. So Murmansk and the Olenya air base is about 1,800 kilometers or so. This is now, we're now talking 4,000 kilometers. So these are two air bases, but one is phenomenally far from Ukraine. It hosts two 95 MS, two 160 and two 222 M3 bombers equipped with KH-101, KH-555 and KH-55 cruise missiles, enabling long-range strikes against Ukrainian targets. This is the furthest Ukrainian drone attack during the entire war. At the very same time, a second Russian airbase in Olengorsk in Murmansk, so that's Olenya, Murmansk region, is also under drone attack. Olenya airbase near Olengorsk, Murmansk region, is about 1,800 kilometers from Ukraine. Russia uses it to launch two 95 MS-2 160 and 222 M3 bombers, armed with those same cruise missiles for long-range strikes against Ukraine. Okay, so this is a footage we are getting, and I will maximize this in a second when I get you slightly more. Belaya in the Irkutsk region, strong detonations on the ground observed by locals from the direction of the airbase. So that's that kind of white smoke that we saw earlier, which is what led me to believe it was a second base that was being hit. We've got a longer video here that I'm going to show you. Olengorsk, Murmansk. Actually, they say, I don't know if that's spliced together, because that says Olengorsk and then goes on to other footage. I think that's actually Belaya. But anyway, let's look at this footage. Now, this is for you, it's going to be sort of tertiary footage. So we have and I'm going to rewind this. First of all, we have a drone that is doing reconnaissance on behalf of the Ukrainians at 4,000 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, and it is flying over, as you can see, bomber after bomber after bomber on fire. Absolutely incredible. What else do we have? Yeah, so significant damage done to a number of these bombers. So I'm just checking all sorts of different some people saying 40 odd aircraft may have been damaged in amongst both of these, but I don't know. It is incredible to see these bombers, and that looks like a cargo plane as well, being hit. And then look at this close-up one. So this is phenomenal footage, and I assume this is kind of an FPV drone looking for something to blow up, right? So here it is flying over these strategic bombers. That one, and you can see all the tires on top to protect them from drone strikes and whatnot. And then just as it comes to this one, it explodes, and that does it look like that wing falls to the ground? I don't know. And then it goes back to the initial footage. This is absolutely incredible. So here we have Olenya, Murmansk, 1,750 kilometers away. Once again, several Russian air bases with strategic bombers are under simultaneous drone attack. So keeping track of everything and not getting lost can be difficult, which is kind of my point as well. Belaya, Irkutsk, back to there. Strong detonations on the airfield. We can see that locals recorded FPV drones flying over their heads. Now, if you look at this video, you can't hear the sound here, and that's not really important for what I'm going to say. We have a image of the drone flying over. You just miss it. Where is it? There, you see that drone up there. That is not a drone. That is flying 4,000 kilometers, right? End of. So that drone has been released locally. So then it gets proper funky. I just need to find where I was with some of these claims. Okay, so you've got all of these claims coming out, all the feeds showing, explosion after explosion. Russians say their airfields are being massively attacked by FPV drones, with that same imagery of those strategic bombers being shellacked, people recording FPV drones flying over their heads. More confirmation, this time by Russian soldiers, that strategic bombers are, being blown up. So let's check this out. Just as far as the imagery is concerned. So look at this imagery of the airbase behind him. That is absolutely staggering. This should be front page news. All across the world, realistically. That's incredible footage there. Just seeing lots and lots of this. That's the image I was talking about. We also have other air bases being attacked, by the way, at the moment. So I was reporting my hits and losses video, kind of as I was recording it. So again, that was kind of an hour ago. There were air raid sirens going off in Crimea. So and in fact, I think Benny Pie's just contacted me to say Olenya, Ivanovo, Severny, so that's another one. Diaghilev, so I think that's in Crimea, and Belaya. So 4 airfields are being struck potentially simultaneously. I want to get you to fighter bomber here. Yes. Okay. I don't know if that tells us anything. Now, it is what is fascinating is what may have been utilized in these attacks. So I don't know if I've got my my sources in the right place here, but it was being reported that a lorry driver had been kind of stopped by one of the air bases. So here's a good image of the two locations. So Irkutsk there is absolutely miles away from Ukraine, and Murmansk, the Olenya air base up there, and then two others also potentially being struck. But the claim here was that a lorry driver, a truck driver for you Americans out there, had been asked to go and meet somewhere near one of these airfields and drove there, and out of the back of the lorry a bunch of drones were released, and then he was stopped by the police and said, I don't know anything about this, I was just asked to come and meet someone here. That is what I'm going to try and find for you at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll put myself, you don't want to see me flick through all of this, but yeah, and if that has happened, then that is some really clever Ukrainian chicanery, as they therefore, I presume, are using maybe the truck as a repeater, and then that can get you imagery back to Ukraine in some way. But yeah, even if a fraction of this is true, says Shashank Joshi, it's a remarkable achievement and a mark of how far Ukraine deep strike has come. An operation by Ukraine's security service, the SBU, has hit more than 40 Russian bombers at air bases in the rear of the Russian Federation. Imagine for a moment that you were asked Western air forces to come up with a plan to destroy tens of Russian strategic bombers. How many offensive forces would they require, and how much would it cost? It demonstrates again that the Ukrainian deep strike can still do impressive things even without US intelligence. And that's from Shashank Joshi, the defense correspondent for the Economist there. I'm just yeah, so here it is. Let's go back. Sorry, there's some noise in the background. We've just got I presume we've got family just popped round. Families pop round with young children and whatnot, so expect some noise. Okay. More videos of strikes from air bases in Irkutsk and Murmansk regions. Russian media claim that the swarm of drones took off directly from a truck parked nearby. Wow. So then we've got Jagiellovo Air Base in Ryazan region. Actually, so that's not the one in Crimea. Jagiellovo is in Ryazan, also receiving some attention. I'm just going to put myself back on full screen. I just need to find where my... I mean, there's so much information coming out and a lot of it is obviously the same from multiple sources. At least, yeah. So FPV drones. I'm gonna just have a little search. Truck airfield, and see if that comes up with anything. Okay, right. So this, thank you, Anton Gerashchenko, as ever, a really useful source here. So war has broken out in Olengorsk. That's Olenya. That's the one up in Murmansk, bitten by Finland. Russians complained about the attack at Olenya. It is reported that FPV drones were launched from trucks in several regions of Russia. The truck is parked at a gas station in Olengorsk. The driver arrived. He's running around. Drones are flying out of his truck and flying towards Vysoky. The traffic police stopped him. He says he was told to come to the place and he would meet and he would be met there. He arrived and the drones started flying out one by one. That's absolutely just incredible, and could be a really clever way around the problem of getting controllable FPVs close to air bases. Now, of course, the issue for the Ukrainians going forward is that, you know, once bitten, twice shy. It's the same with the Kerch Bridge. The Russians are going to be very careful as to how they allow traffic to operate near these air bases. But my goodness, you could have 40 aircraft, as is claimed. Really expensive, difficult to build replacement aircraft being taken out in quick succession in a number of different at a number of different air bases. Absolutely incredible. So satellite imagery from a couple of days ago. So let's show you this. And sorry, this is a bit sort of chaotic and not very smooth for you. Satellite images of air bases. The status a couple of days ago, according to Avivector, at Belaya there were 7 Tu-160s, 6 Tu-95s, 2 Il-78. So those are big cargo planes. Antonov 26 and 12s. There's 6 and 2 of them. 39 Tu-22M3 and 30 MiG-31. So that's a lot of aircraft at that base. At Olenya up in Murmansk, we have 11 Tu-95s, 5 AN-12s, and 40 Tu-22M3s. So they've got a lot of aircraft. 2 more air bases have also been attacked, so we'll have to see. There are a lot of aircraft, and the question is, how many do they have operational and flying? I remember I was looking at, was it 295 MSs, or was it no, it's 222 M3s. I have a feeling that one of the more recent analysis said that they only had sort of 23 or so of those operational. Did they? I don't know. Or maybe that's a number that have been lost. I don't know. I probably shouldn't say if I'm going to be inaccurate. But obviously, it's not just about how many are taken out in raw numbers now, but it's about how many they have operational. So Russian aviation-related channel confirms that 4 Russian long-range aviation air bases have been attacked in the past 2 hours. It'll be interesting to see if all 4 bases are attacked using the same techniques. Yeah, that is pretty incredible stuff. Yeah, more footage of these FPVs just flying overhead, which is not something you'd expect to see near to substantial air bases. Incredible stuff there. So there you go. That is what we are seeing at the moment. I'm going to leave this sort of playing on the screen for you while I look at some of the comments, just to see if there's anything worthy of note from you guys. Thank you very much, Javier Alvarez, for the super chat, mate. Really appreciate that. Awesome. And it is, I mean, this is something that gets me excited because it puts the momentum back in Ukraine's favor. It gets people talking about the war. It gets people talking about Ukraine's successes. And there's not been enough of that. There's all this doom and gloom. Ukraine don't hold the cards, says Trump. You don't hold the cards, Zelensky. You don't have any cards. Well, I can tell you, this is a hand-winning trick that the Ukrainians have just played. And I think that's absolutely brilliant. Aircraft, according to United 24, aircraft are burning at all 4 airfields. All aircraft have taken off from Engels 2. That's in Saratov. That hasn't been targeted, Engels 2, but it is a place that has been targeted previously. They've all taken off now, which is a security measure you do. Obviously, aircraft sitting idle in their aprons or on an airfield are easy targets. So what the first thing you do when you are expecting attacks is you get those aircraft up in the air where they can't be hit by these sorts of munitions. But yeah, I think that is 5 aces there. Just 4 aces right there. No, let's make it 5. Yeah, so I think this is going to be good news from a PR point of view, and good news from just a military point of view from the Ukrainians, because these planes are the ones that cause untold amounts of damage to the Ukrainians as they release their munitions. Yeah, so lots of people adding to what's going on in the sidebar there in the chat. So thank you for that. And I guess it probably shouldn't completely overshadow the news that the Russians have hit Ukraine with the largest drone attack overnight. But I do wonder as to how successful that drone attack will have been, even though 87 drones got through. What do we make of those 87 drones that did get through the Ukrainian air defenses and electronic warfare coverage? This special operation, according to Anton Gerashchenko, is called Operation Spiderweb, and that could be because of the intricate connection between all these places, and the flies getting caught to some degree, where in this case the flies are very big strategic bombers. But yeah, so lots of news concerning this, but essentially it's a stunning performance by Ukraine. As Edward Hunter Christie says, go and check out my live interview with him. Flightline on Fire says, Ewan McDonald, spectacular images of the SBU special operation Web or Spiderweb to destroy enemy bomber aircraft. The enemy's losses already exceed $2 billion, says the SBU. Over 40 have been destroyed, is what they say. And to already know that, I mean, do we trust that? Well, looking at some of the imagery, and that's just a fraction of the imagery. There's going to be, I'm sure, more imagery to be released. And considering they are attacking 4 air bases at once, I'm pretty sure that it will be, they're not going to be interested in overhyping this and lying too much. I wouldn't have thought. Security services of Ukraine conducted coordinated strikes on Belaya, Gilevo, Olenya, and Ivanovo. So Ivanovo is the only one I haven't seen anything from, but aircraft apparently are burning at all 4 sites. It would be great if Saratov and Engels had been added to that, because that is a bit of a problematic airfield, I have to say. But yes, good news there. Just going to see if anything else has materialized. No, so expect to see this on fighter bomber, confirming that. Expect to see this on major media outlets today. This should be sort of front page news, and hopefully this will convey a real not advantage, but a real benefit to Ukraine in not seeing so many cruise missiles and whatnot thrown into Ukrainian airspace. What they really need to focus on at the moment, I think, is the production of Shahed drones. And we've noticed that they have done that a couple of times. So there have been attacks on drone manufacturing facilities. But we did hear a claim the other day from Zelensky, I think it was, that they're making 300 to 350 Shahed drones a day. And if you had 472 thrown last night, he was saying that they are looking at the Russians able to manufacture 500 Shahed drones a day. If the Ukrainians are going to have to deal with 500 Shahed drones a day being sent into Ukraine, they need some serious targeting of manufacturing facilities. And they also need to work really hard on, which they are, by all accounts, work really hard on interceptor drones. And I showed you some footage of one drone being sort of tested, I think, or certainly maybe utilized this morning in the hits and losses video. But also there was a claim that one unit had a record-breaking night last night. So amongst the 385 drones that were taken out by conventional means or electronic warfare, one unit took out 15 with interceptor drones. So I think you're going to see interceptor drones become a much more important component of the air defense for Ukraine. And I was saying in my previous video, I think that's because when you're talking about the measure, countermeasure, cat and mouse game, this arms race, if you like, the Ukrainians want to get to a point where actually Russian adaptations are going to struggle to overcome that. So when it comes to electronic warfare, you just develop electronic warfare resistant chips and drones. But when it comes to an interceptor drone that's just chasing down another drone and hitting it, and if it's using stuff that is electronic warfare resistant already, like AI targeting, then there's 2 things you can do: some kind of electronic EMP pulse that will take out the drone, some kind of defensive mechanism from the attack drone, or just going faster and faster so that the interceptor drones can't catch up with the Shahed drones. But then that comes at its own cost. So you'll probably need a smaller warhead because you'll need more fuel or bigger engine or whatever. And so I think interceptor drones are going to be something that the Ukrainians are going to focus on massively, because I think it'll be more difficult for the Russians to overcome interceptor drones. Anyway, that's probably all I've got for you in this breaking news live. Really appreciate all of you who are there. I'm just seeing if there's anything else to report. Max25 says, translating a post here, people have been forbidden to leave Olenya in the area of the Olenya and leave the city Olengorsk in the area of Olenya airfield. They're probably detecting vans, trucks, and buses. The Russians think they've launched the drones from them. Absolutely unsurprising that that's going to be happening. And you're probably thinking that, rather like with the Kerch Bridge, where they used truck drivers, and there was an element of sacrificing a truck driver, an innocent kind of civilian, but to do, what they would argue is a greater good. They are utilizing innocent Russian truck drivers, but loading up these trucks and then saying, you need to go to here. And then when they get there, they release the drones. So the question for the Russians is, well, where did these trucks come from? How did they get loaded up? Who did the loading up? And what can we work out from that? But certainly, I mean, sort of thing that you can imagine movies being made of stuff like this in the future. Incredible imagery coming out there. And I wonder how much more imagery we'll get of these drones just flying around and striking these huge important and expensive aircraft. And it's not just the expense, like I say often to you. You can talk about, say, a Zoopark 1 radar system being worth tens of millions of dollars or whatever. Yeah, okay, that's really cool to be able to blow that up for the Russians. But actually, you could argue it's priceless. So it's not just that's a function that these have. So functionally taking that out, doesn't necessarily have a cost attached to it in a very easy quantifiable way, but suddenly not having that radar provision until you replace it. But then to replace it, in peacetime, when you're not sanctioned, it might cost you, I don't know, 10 million, 100 million, whatever it is, to replace any given radar system or a strategic bomber here. But under sanctions, you can't actually build them. So on paper, it costs whatever million to make one of these things. So we can ask how much these bombers cost, and the SBU saying over $2 billion worth of equipment that's been blown up already. But actually, you can't put a number on it effectively because they can't build them. And if they could build those strategic bombers, it's going to take a long time, right? So the time frame is also important there. So these are really valuable, but not in a monetary sense, really valuable strikes. I'm not one to glorify in destruction, unless it's, of course, Russian military equipment and whatnot. So this makes me a happy reporter of what's going on in the war, because this is all very good for Ukraine. Anyway, that's probably enough from me from a breaking news update. Otherwise, it gets on to me just wittering away. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Toodle pips.